And in a story you will only see here on KCRA3, we may never know what exactly happened in the negotiations of California's landmark fast food minimum wage law. The groups involved used a secretive strategy to try to legally keep each other from revealing anything to the public and to people in their own industry. Thanks for joining us. I'm Golston Dart.
I'm Lisa Gonzalez. So this new law has come under fire recently as the governor faces allegations that he provided a special exemption in this law for one of his billionaire donors, who is also a Panera franchisee. KCRA3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala is the first to report this. She's been spending days investigating this and confirming this development. So Ashley, what's the newest information?
Lisa, we've learned non-disclosure agreements were used in the final negotiations of California's fast food minimum wage law. Multiple sources on all sides of the negotiations tell us the powerful labor group at the table, SEIU, directed all parties involved to sign them. A non-disclosure agreement is a legally binding contract that forced the very few people involved in those negotiations to keep things confidential and to keep the public and basically the rest of the fast food industry in the dark about how this law came together. So who else was in the room? Our sources told us representatives with the McDonald's Corporation, Yum Brands, the International Franchise Association, the National Restaurant Association were all in the room. We repeatedly contacted all of those groups and the SEIU, and they all either declined to comment or did not respond. A source close to the labor side of the negotiations said SEIU actually uses NDAs regularly in high-stakes negotiations to build trust with their opponents. We also reached out to the person who oversaw those negotiations, Governor Gavin Newsom. His office says the governor did not sign an NDA, nor did he direct anyone in these negotiations to do so. But we've asked him, is he okay with the use of NDAs in the public policy making process that impacts hundreds of thousands of workers and a key part of the state's economy? We are still waiting to hear back from him. Those we've reached out to in the Capitol community are shocked by this, including longtime Capitol observer and McGeorge School of Law professor Chris McKaylee. He says he's never heard of anything like this being used before.
It comes as a surprise that they have been used on a regular basis by any group, regardless whether they are employer groups, labor groups, environmental or consumer groups. I'm not sure that who uses them matter. I think the concern that we should have is potential lack of transparency and disclosure. Remember, the lawmaking process is being done on behalf of the people of California.
We will note we have not seen a copy of the non-disclosure agreements. We do not know their terms or how they would be enforced. But again, we don't know if these NDAs keep us from understanding how exactly that exemption for bakeries ended up in this law.
Yeah, but just the fact that there is an NDA, why would you need that? It's something that it's a public policy. Was the intention of the NDA to just keep the public in the dark about this?
It's from what my sources are saying, that's certainly part of the intention. What I'm told is that this was really to build trust between the two parties. This was a very contentious topic. Now, and this is really meant to keep sensitive information from getting out. But at the root of this story is that a lot of smaller franchisees felt they were totally left out of the negotiating table. So when they went to the industry leaders who were there at that table, those industry leaders went back to those business owners and basically said, we cannot tell you anything. We can't keep you in the loop because we signed a non-disclosure agreement. Still so much to unpack on all of this, and we will keep digging, but this is just one thread and potentially many on this story as we follow it.
Well, you're just saying all that, lots of red flags. Yeah. All over the place.
Well,
all right.
We hope to hear from the governor.
Yes.
We do.
All right,
that would be
Ashley,
great.
thanks.